Hey guys and girls, so this is an update on what's happening with our server. So things are going really, really well, honestly. We have all the bunkers pretty much done and ready. What we're doing now is mostly the open computer stuff, which is a lot of programming. Electro is putting a lot of work into that. I've tried to help him with some code, and other people in the community has also helped him with some code, but it's gotten to the point where now he's, making one ultra super, program that basically, you can't have a bunch of people's hands in it. If we give him examples and suggestions and things like that, it really helps him on that, but you can't really just be like having a bunch of people touch it at this point just because it's just one man's work and creation and vision, and it just gets messy at that point. So basically we're waiting on that, and I've said before, and I'll say it again, that isn't really an issue there. I'm purposely saying, we're not launching till that's up and running and working, to my satisfactory. Mostly for the fact that this server is going to be around for years, not for a week or a month or 5 months. The idea is going to be around hopefully for years, as long as people are playing it, right? GTNH is a huge friggin' pack. And I don't want Electro to be sitting there trying to fix things at the last minute while we're all playing. I don't care. I won't, somebody who puts that much time and effort into our server should not be punished to let a bunch of people play. If it was me, on the other hand, it'd probably be a bit different, because I love messing on the server side of things. I love doing all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to Electro, he deserves to enjoy the game, play the game, and relax when it comes out. And that's my decision, not his decision. I'm the final voice. No, I mean, Electro and I talk, and we do like to fight and argue sometimes, but overall we're usually on the same wavelength. We just have bad ways of articulating our wording to each other sometimes. But anyways, that's what's happening. So I wanted to let you guys know what's happening. So the open computer stuff, I'll tell you what we're doing for that. Isn't this beautiful, by the way? Most of this was designed, I think all of this was designed from Benner. He did a really good job doing the stuff here. But anyways, so what is happening is basically you have a Stargate over there, and I'll show you the Stargate here in a minute. But basically you have a Stargate, and you're going to be finding them around the world, which we've discussed. And the idea is 3 of the 12 of them will be active at any time. Later on, there will be ways that you can retrieve this data and even write your own scripts and stuff to tell you which ones are available, things like that. But at the bunkers themselves, there will even be like a detailed map that kind of shows you the active ones and where they're located, even their coordinates and things like that, as long as they've been discovered. When you go to a bunker, like this one, for example, this one's a cool one. I won't spoil it, but it has a cool little event that happens to unlock and open this bunker. But once you go into the bunker, the map will update and it will not be hidden anymore. So there will be like a column on the right, and I won't show you because the newest code one actually gives the spoilers away, but the right one side will give you a list of all the bunkers, which would be 12 of them. And then there will be an actual XZ grid here. And literally, it'll show you like, okay, bunkers there, bunkers there, bunkers there, bunkers there. But if they're hidden, they're not even showing on the map. They just say hidden on the right. So if this one was discovered, it would literally show on here, and it'd just be, boop, a dot on there, and there would be some indication, maybe the full wording or initial or something would let you know that bunker is there. And yeah, so I think that's going to be really cool. So what happens is when you get to a bunker, you will unlock it. This thing will tell you what items are required. So for example, if it's the nether, it might be flint and steel, right? So you throw flint and steel on the ground, and it'll literally vacuum hopper it up, and it goes through an actual complex system, an AE system. I thought, why don't we use AE? Because it's easier to read and deal with and hook up to open computers, which has been flawless for Electro. That was, as far as I know, one of the easier things. Here it is right here, actually, an example of it. And so it detects the flint and steel, and then the gate starts opening. Now, what we'll probably have is some sort of player detector. So I think the player detector has to have some sort of line of sight of you. So it'll probably be here on the wall somewhat. Or it could be right here on the floor. It doesn't matter. But the idea is the player detector will kind of scan and bring your name into the system. And so what happens is the idea that we're doing, and we're getting code pieces, and people have already helped us with some of this, and we're going to try it out, is there will be a database stored, and it'll basically say, okay, so Kane_Hart is coming from this gate, so it'll have this gate address basically in the file, and it will be storing and stamping the gate you're going to. And so basically you run through here, and then you go through here to the other side. Now, it will send. What's really, really cool is Open Computers, when you have as far as I understand, this is how Electro and I assume and are seeing it, is with Open Computers, you can send an actual special code through the gates themselves and use send information back and forth. But what we found is apparently it connects as a LAN address. So when you have two gates open and you have both the Open Computers on both sides and the Open Computer device hooked up, as far as we can tell, it turns it into a full-blown proper LAN network. So what we'll be doing is uploading that data then to the other gate. So the other gate will connect to this and it will send that data. And the whole purpose of this is when you go from that gate, even if it's there or months later, it doesn't matter, or you go to another gate, and this will be the syncing part, which I'll get to in a minute, you will return back to the same gate. That way, you will, if you found another outpost in the Nether, so you didn't come back through the same one, let's just say, your Twilight, for example. Twilight's big, you need to explore around. You would take another gate back, and it would lead you back to the one you came from. So there wouldn't be any cheating or shortcuts to say, oh, I'll just go through it and then end up at a different gate, especially when the gates change and the active, bases and stuff like that. So it's a really cool kind of idea. It's a little bit complicated, but the syncing back and forth is not too complicated. It's more about probably the logistics of handling and sending it back and forth, as well as us reading the file. So you will find this funny, but I learned how to write to a file, and that was really, really easy. And I even took variables, split them up, even got a syncing time system that takes real life time and syncs it into the game. Somebody made an actual library for that, but I got all that working, and I can even log player information, things like that. But the issue that came to both Electro and I was actually reading data like that. So it was actually breaking that data up. So you let's just say each player has its own line. So it has, just for the example here, the first, the player name, the start gate they just came from, or this start gate, for example, and the start gate they're going to, right? And then we store that in a file. And then you have Bob, same idea, and then Sally, whatever. Our issue was actually searching for a name in that list, then outputting that data as variables into the program. So you look up Kane _heart, and if it matches that, then it would grab that table and then it'll import the variables into the program, and then they'll use it. So for example, the gate it came from, it would take that and put that as a variable, use that to dial out, and then there you go, you're coming back here. And that was actually kind of the funny part, was we were having issues reading the data and throwing into a variable, not actually writing the data and using the variables. And here I was writing it kind of messy, but I got it working. That's the funny part. But when it came to reading, that's where things kind of got a little silly. But I did learn, just playing with what I had and testing things and whatnot, I did learn that IO open and then you use something read is kind of what you want to use. If you use the other method of reading, like the same way we did with writing, which I think writing, it's not a big deal, but reading gets really slow if you're using the improper way. We're talking about it reads like bit by bit, and basically to index and go through it all, it's really slow. So the idea is you'd actually load the entire database into memory, then you go, you index it basically. And I think that's the idea. You index it, and then when you look for something through that, we're talking a couple milliseconds probably, or probably a few milliseconds, because these are, these systems are supposed to be slow. They're supposed to mimic like an old 286 or something like that, or maybe slower. I don't know exactly. But the idea is it should be able to index and find those quite fast. Okay, so that's the idea. Now the syncing, master syncing. So syncing from this to one gate to another is probably not hard. Logistics, it's probably not too bad. But this is where things get interesting. What we're going to have is this data is going to sync to a master server. Now, I think Electro talked about this dialing the master server after. So if you go through this, it sounded like Electro wanted to take this data and send it to the master server. If the master server is busy, then retry, say, in 5 minutes or something like that. hopefully, I guess if you sync the whole file every time, then you're not too, like, I don't know how he's going to do that, because then you got to replace and change, and so he's got to come up with an idea where you can do it without causing too much of a conflict, which that's going to get messy. So the idea is the data is going to get synced to a master server, which is going to be at spawn. You've seen at 00, the Stargate there with the iris. The iris is permanently welded on there. It'll never change. And that is our syncing master server. And basically, when you spawn in the world, if you see that coming in or out, basically that's updating data to literally dozens of Stargates around the world. Just think about that. There's over 12 Stargates. Actually, no, in the main world, I can tell you how many Stargates there are now. There's 12 bunkers, so there's 12 Stargates. Spawn's Master 1 is 13. Then there's a Stargate to get your random teleportation, but it goes into a special room with another Stargate. So you got 13, 14, 15. So basically the overworld alone will have 15. There will be 12 Stargates in the Nether. There'll be 12 Stargates in the Twilight Force, and there'll just be a single Stargate in the end because you spawn in the center, right? So that I think it's quite complicated. And so what happens is these programs will update the Master Stargate, but then this Master Stargate every, say, whatever time, it doesn't know if it's every hour or every half an hour, it doesn't matter. Basically, it will start communicating with all the other Stargates around the world. And what it will do is it will update them. It'll basically keep the information synced and update that information, which is really, really cool, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. There might be a way around it to make it easier. There's two ways around it, which would make it probably easier and cheaper, which is kind of boring, but it might have to happen if the syncing, because like I said, the syncing part, when you do like a larger system like that, it's probably going to be a little more complex logically, right? So you have kind of two cheats you can do with that, which we're trying to avoid them because the one cheat is way too cheapy. It's like our equivalent of, flying instead of using Railcraft, right? And that's not something we like, right? Or doing something out of the game to cheat. The one way is using the internet, like the actual World Wide Web, and storing data and retrieving it, and then it's really simple at that point, right? The other way is using link cards, and link cards basically work in any dimension. They work as far as you want, basically. They don't have packet loss. They have no issues with them, basically, in that sense. They use a little bit more power, but this is all creative. The bunkers and our government infrastructure, we'll call it, is all in creative mode, right? So power-wise, it's not a big deal. So with the link cards, the downside is if you link this Stargate with the open computers to spawn, one link card can only be paired to another link card. So what you'd actually have to do is make a server array with dozens of link cards set up, which you could do, and it wouldn't probably be too crazy. I mean, as long as you set it up and you could get the logic working there, you could probably get like a whole server array, a mini network, all communicating together, and then do massive, syncs out just like that. So that is one way of doing it. Which is not a whole terrible idea. I mean, if you can do it right, it would be interesting. One of the other ideas I had in my mind on that, and I was wondering how that would work, is if you did that, like, you did like a large network like that, and if the link card worked as like sort of like a network or a local computer, I'm wondering what happens if you have, I think you would have to feed all the information through a program before you do a file, because what you wouldn't want to do is have like 8 Stargates all of a sudden communicating with one file and trying to pen data, because it might screw up a bit on that, right? Like, they saved at the exact same or whatever, right? So what I think you would do is you'd always communicate that information from this program to that program, then it would queue it up, right? So even if it got like 5 queues coming in at the same time, it would just queue, and then store that properly into the database. But it's a very complicated system. When you think about it, that is pretty complicated. I would say I don't think anyone else out there has made such a program like that for open computers. And don't get me wrong, people have made entire operating systems, the coolest stuff ever. We know people out there have made way more complicated programs, but I don't think anyone's made such a program like what we're doing in a complicated scale to offer like a worldwide effect like that, sort of. And we're planning to do more. We're going to do this with trains and go even more vaster over time. And we still prefer not to use the internet. One thing I talked to people about, and they were kind of annoying, and somebody said he's going to try to write a kernel level program, is the actual ability to network like, so you have the internet card, right? And the internet card works outside of the network. You can't use an internal network, like, so you don't use my server and you can't screw things up on purpose, right? We blacklist the IPs and stuff, but that's not the issue. There should be a sub-internal network, like literally from the Minecraft server instance and then downwards into the Minecraft instance, right? And what would be nice is there's an internal network where you can communicate like that. Like, why can't I run? As far as I know, you can't do this. If I'm wrong, I'd love to be corrected. Electrobot would probably love to know this too. Why can't we run like one big beefy server at spawn, right? A bunch of arrays, dedicated server and whatnot, and actually use like an internet card, but it being for like an internal network. So we're not going to the World Wide Web. We're not running a special web server on the server. It's literally within the game, and then you connect to local addresses within the game. I know there's the wireless card. I know there's the link card, but both link card is literally a one-to-one link card, right? So you need dozens of them, which is annoying. And the internet card, as far as we can tell, it only works from outside, so it doesn't work within your network, which is kind of funny. You'd think they would have done like almost like an internal, like internet LAN one where you could set up some really expensive hardware and run a data center and then be able to connect that from anywhere in the world. So unless if there's ways to screw around with the link card, like maybe duplicate them without breaking things and like have a way where you can just literally sync every computer to the one link card, I don't know if you can do that. But anyways, this is some of our ideas and thoughts, and this is kind of why there's some delays. Now, Electrobot, like I said, is working very hard. He's of course, it's stressing him out. He's taking a little bit more breaks here and there, and he needs to. I mean, you burn him out, then he's gonna just be like, well, screw this for a month. And honestly, I'd be happy to say screw the server for a month. And it's not that I'm trying to be mean to you guys. Keep in mind, I want to get the server up and running into your hands. That we definitely want that. I mean, I put a lot of money into this server, and we hope over time people will love the server, enjoy it, and donate back, because we like to keep doing this. We like to get other hardware over time. We like to actually expand and do other games as well and things like that. But it's starting with GTNH, and that's our focus. And we want to really show and provide like a really awesome server. We want to provide a server with great performance. We want to provide a server with some unique features compared to the other official servers to make it more fun and unique in that sense. We want to promote a rail system. We actually want to get people building a rail system around the world. We don't want to promote the whole rush the game, get to the highest tier, got to get to moon before everyone else. We don't really like those people. And if you play on the server, we're not going to ban you or anything, but just don't be those people who are like, oh, by the way, this is a good shortcut, or do this, or here's some free items, things like that. Some people out there give advice, and it's all right if somebody asks a question and you want to answer, that's fine. But some people out there basically are like a Wikipedia built into their brain, and they share all this information. They have no filter, and they share this information nonstop. And those people are so annoying, because one of the things for me, a lot of people are different than me, and and this server's for everyone. It's not my personal server for my own gain or whatever, right? But for me, I don't really watch YouTube videos on how to do this and that. If I'm stuck, then I'll look into information. I'll start Google searching, things like that. YouTube is usually the last resource I'll go for trying to figure something out. But I prefer to actually learn by touching, playing, and you probably notice that. When I do my Let's Plays are usually legitimate Let's Plays. They're not, I know what I'm doing Let's Play. It's an actual, I want to play this, let's play it and see what I come up with kind of thing. So, anyways, yes, if you have a bad time filtering, try better to filter things, just for us anyways. So, but anyways, yeah, so I made some mechanics here, which was really pretty cool. And I've actually really enjoyed the Lua stuff. I've learned a lot to code for the Lua stuff. Like I said, most of our issue was like reading files, like writing a file, perfectly fine. Reading a file and, exporting things into variables a little harder, but one of our friends on Discord has helped us with that, so we'll try that later on today and see if that helps us. But anyways, I wanted to do a video. I don't have an ETA. I know some people are really wondering, like, when is the server going to be up? When can I play? Honestly, at this point, I would say maybe next weekend, maybe the following, like, you know, like the Monday or something even. I really don't know. I'm giving you a long ETA on that. I mean, it's possibly we'll be happy with everything even by Wednesday, but we're not rushing things, right? We're just taking our time and having fun. By the way, I printed these. I didn't actually make the model. These are done with the Open Computer 3D printer. You can actually print 3D models. So you know how a lot of people say there's no chisel and bits in Open Computers? Well, actually, there are not in Open Computers, but in 1.7, this is actually basically that version, like having chisel and bits almost. You know, you can't do the most finest detail possible, but that's pretty awesome. And this computer was made with that. And basically, you call textures, and you could probably use modded textures too. These really awesome railings, Electrobot actually made these. And actually, we could, if we wanted to, we could actually print these to go a little... Oh, actually, no, these are bent, so it wouldn't look right anyways. If this was flatter here, you could probably make it so it kind of bends in and makes it look nice, like have another layer. But these railings were made by Electrobot using Open Computer's 3D printer, which I think is really clever. So, yeah, these ones right here. So look how nice those are. It was just fun. You can jump over them, and they're not, you know, they're not meant to be super high or the best thing ever, like safety wise, but they were made to make this look a lot nicer. So there's a lot of cool options I like to see people use out there, especially with the Open Computers. And there's actually some external programs and things like that you can use, and maybe eventually I can even make some videos on how to use some of those and play with them and stuff like that. I really love this helicopter. So it's a really good, it's well done. It's just using vanilla blocks too. But anyways, yeah, so that's an update. I just want to give you guys some information, what's happening, what's going on. I do apologize, things are taking a little longer, but that's the way of things, right? But we're going to continue working hard. We're going to continue working on this server, and hopefully in the next, you know, say week or two, if it's that long, it's that long. Then we'll have our server launch, and, you know, things will be awesome, and I think you guys will enjoy it a lot. So anyways, thank you guys and girls so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, like. If you want more information on basically, you know, you're planning to play on our server and stuff, check the description. There's a Discord URL there, and we're basically chatting about this server in the Minecraft channel. It's basically anything Minecraft. Right now we're only running this server, or going to be running this server, so that would be probably the appropriate place to talk, to chat, if you have any questions, things like that. Though we're grumpy people, so we'll probably like, did you not watch the videos? Yeah, we're jerks sometimes. We got to work on that. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful day. What the? Look at these circle things on the wall. What is going on? See the circle thing? I think that's the natural texture. I've seen them sometimes in the textures. So you notice none of the textures are really the same. I think that's actually Optifine has a natural texture option. So sometimes you see weird patterns that happen, like these little circle type things I noticed in the wall. But anyways, have a good day, guys. Bye.